I did exactly that with a with a compound saw that I got off of Craigslist, right? And I didn't realize that there was numerous clamping screws that hold that back guide down. I just assumed that once you undid the handle to change the angle, that everything should slide around.
Right.
Now it stayed put, and I was thinking like, okay, maybe that's how it works. And I went to cut, and I ended up cutting a slot right into the guide because the guide didn't move with the angle of the saw.
Oh man.
I know. I was like, oh no, I just got it.
Dang. The question is, okay, when you guys were researching, did you guys find out that this came with it, or is this definitely an accessory?
It's an accessory, but there's also kits, which I think this was a kit because the pictures they showed the bag, the jigsaw, and something else. So they do sell them individually, and they also sell them as a kit, like the home starter kit or home beginner kit.
So most likely they want to sell it together.
Yes.
And then I wonder, when this one came out to market, it became, you had to go buy this separate?
None of those exist for that. There's no accessories as far as I know.
That is so crazy. So why do you need this for?
Doing jigsaw cuts. Like I definitely, when I was doing the furniture chair, there was some radiuses that they were just not possible with a jigsaw, and the piece was so big I couldn't put it into a bandsaw. My only option was to use the Rotozip. Yeah, I only just used it vertically like that. Yeah, no other additional handle.
So that's one question. The fact that you know, we only have one assessment of one tool, but the fact that it kind of is a small notion that I never used a tool, and I've never used an accessory like this for it. And do you feel like this would make your life easier now having a different Rotozip? If this one broke and you went to the market, and this is the newest one, came with all these cool kits where maybe cheaper or give or take the same price as your old one. You know, I feel like this is awesome.
Personally, I have a, I don't know what the word is, but I don't like plastic parts on tools when it comes to like structuralness and stuff. I feel like that it's gonna break, and I feel like it's a waste of money.
You know, my brother, he's been a mechanic for a long time, and I learned a lot of tool ethics, you know, when it comes to using tools and taking care of it. But he only went to like old shops and bought old school tools. Sometimes actually Craftsman. But
the old school stuff
really
is good.
He got this cool drill. It's really, you know, streamlined looking. It's just really sharp, but it's all stainless steel. It's all, you know, brushed steel. It is heavy as hell. But this thing, I feel like I can drill through concrete, and that thing won't fry up on me. Like it will just take any type of beating. It's a little heavy, sure, but I've thrown that down the floors and it just scratches. It doesn't dent at all. You know
that's one thing I really like about the older tools. No, yeah, they use like cast iron and all this other nice shit to keep them all durable.
But it also comes to our history, like about when it comes to products. You know, there's a reason why in the bloom of our industries that plastic was more popular. Or when we invented plastics.
Well, who was it that was saying that, oh, plastic, it's like a foreign material, and that was like the big old thing that everybody was into for a while.
Yeah, that was like in the 1960s, 70s, that time when everything was plastic. You know, women had plastic attire for around the kitchen and house. You had plastic drapes, you had plastic, you know, tabletops, you had plastic everything. Because, you know, especially the company DuPont was one of the biggest ones coming out with plastics at that time. So all of a sudden, plastics became this inexpensive, durable material. But it's definitely not as sturdy and durable as metal. Yeah. It'll never be. It's just not the same chemistry at all. You know, this is way more stiffer than this will ever be over time. You know what I mean? Plastic definitely wears.
I think if we could just incorporate metal into these parts right here, it would be way better, you know, so we don't lose the stuff that they're doing, the more modern stuff that they apply in it. Like if the button's metal, you know it's going to be a bit more sturdy. If you have metal instead of plastic here, it won't wear over time, and so it won't break on you. You actually feel like it's going to last a lot longer. Whereas where they went cheap and used plastic, you know, you feel
well,
like
if they would also maybe just use a higher quality of plastic, like polycarbonate or something. Like the military uses that for shielding their headlights on the vehicles, so that rock debris and shit like that doesn't ruin their
If the rock hits it, it's not going to break. Well, Yeah, that's also very true.
But I
But
think
see, they're really designing for extremes because, you know, they're not talking about, oh, what if he accidentally hits another car? No, what if an explosion
Well,
hits?
yeah.
What if a grenade, you know, explodes right in front of the car? How do you design something for resistance of a grenade?
yeah,
You know, bullets.
homeowners don't see that every day. And
Yeah.
I think the reason why they went with plastic too is because to cut costs. If you go with metal on every part, it's going to be really expensive, you know. And if
Yeah.
a homeowner buys it, they use it once. They don't want to spend $200. They can spend $100 and go cheaper.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Think
so,
who was using your dad's tool? It was more like people who knew what they were doing. Whereas now they're using this because everyone that's a house, like, oh, let's remodel.
yep.
Ever since those
That's the
do-it-yourself
trend.
TV
Yeah.
shows
The
came
classic
on and
dumbass that
HGTV,
thinks
yeah.
he can, you know, go out there and remodel his house.
Watch a show for 20 minutes. I could do that.
Yeah,
Exactly,
and then he's the one
It's
that
so
ends up
simple,
breaking
yeah.
something really, really bad, and then he's got a huge problem in his hands and contracting problems and city lawsuits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this guy tried to rewire his house, and it caught his neighbors on fire.
I think that's why they started making it out of plastic.
Right.
It cuts down the cost and
Yeah, because also
more
what I'm,
accessible for
what
anyone
I'm-
who wants to
Right.
do it yourself.
what I'm thinking about was more like, you know, you got this integrate looking, you know, thing. There's probably it's a straightforward lever that's pushing this on a pivot. You know what I mean, with a spring to hold it back down for resistance.
Yeah.
How much would that cost to make that out of metal?
I'm not sure.
You know, how much would it?
I don't think it's going to be a lot more.
But I'm just saying, there's obviously a lot of slots and then ribs to hold this thing together now, especially this open area to make this stronger. Now they have to incorporate another piece in there. But I'm saying if you make that out of metal per se, you know, can you really mold that in metal? Can you really cast that in metal to make this fit together nicely with this button thing going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe this is obviously molded and injected. You know what I mean? This was definitely created in this symmetrical piece. Created the slots, put it in, and then they screwed it in with that. But you end up with this. It probably costs nothing to make.
Yeah.
It probably costs
40
couple
cents to make.
Yeah. At most, maybe. Depends how big of a well, Craftsman, they're obviously a massive.
You know, I don't think there's necessarily anything specifically wrong with this one per se, just the fact that I don't like how the way it connects. So, like I say, maybe if they just change the way that they connect, but you could still keep the handle plastic, the cost would still be cheaper, but, you know, just maybe splooge a little bit on the way that it connects.
Right. Because there's also this idea when I was reading, I know the class is kind of strongly based on lead arounds and his other ethics when it comes to designing. There's a lot of questions that he was arising when he was designing was, you know, do you want a tool that you're going to have to send back to the manufacturer to get repaired? Or is it one of those tools that you go return because it's broken and you go to a retail store that has this, you know, no questions asked return policy that has customer satisfaction? But what happens is that they go send this back to the manufacturer and they get their money back because it's a flawed product now. The retail store has a huge contract with this company say, we only want to get things that work, and if they don't work, you're going to buy it back from us. And it's up to the company to say, yeah, well, of course. But do you want a product like that as a company owner? To get now open up a whole repair shop because you didn't want to take the extra money and time. Now you got to pay how many employees? You know, to be lined up to fix all the crap and refurbish them and put it back out in the market at a cheaper price because now they're refurbished. Now they're gonna go to a outlet store. That's one of the only reason outlet stores exist because they're all refurbished. The shit that went wrong, that they had to go out and buy a whole new lineup to replace this. I personally, as a company owner, wouldn't mind knowing that that's something I probably wouldn't mind eliminating from my company. More workers and more parts and just more things for what? Because some guy didn't know how to use it because I couldn't communicate to the user how to properly use this. You know, there was no warning label, do not stand on your broken stool while using this at home. You know what I mean? Things like that. I think that's a really cool thing that we can play around with. Because what I'm worried about is that it's such a boring piece. It's a really boring tool. You know, I mean, how many drills did you guys draw when you were trying to, you know, have some insight about this? I drew like 4 maximum. And then I was blank. I didn't know what else to draw.